Hi there, it's Alex here from True Wealth Property. Hope you're well today. Just wanted to share with you our presentation on the NDIS and SDA. So NDIS stands for National Disability Insurance Scheme and the SDA stands for the Specialist Disability Accommodation side. So we'll jump right into it, and if you've got any questions, feel free to contact us. Our email and 1300 numbers at the end of the presentation as well, and we hope you enjoy. So we'll jump into I guess a bit of a history around the NDIS itself and the formation, how it came into being, and it really was about formalising the standard process for care for people with disability in the country. So up until 2016, it was a bit of a mess, and all the different states and territories were doing their own thing. Shortly thereafter, they introduced the Specialist Disability Accommodation side, which was really there to support those with special housing needs within disability. And what we're looking at there is essentially about 6,000 people around the country, young people that are in nursing homes or aged care facilities. It's just really not the most appropriate place for somebody with a disability. And so the government's got a really big initiative currently to move a lot of these people into their own home, into more suitable accommodation. And look, back in 2008, there was an estimation of about 28,000 people that would require SDA funding at full scheme. Now, the total number of people with disability that would qualify has significantly increased, and we can cover that in our next video, which talks about the supply and demand. So the reason why the rentals are so high, and you may have heard about the actual rentals, 10, 12, 15, 16% returns. The reason those rents are at those levels is purely to do with the SDA's standard calculation across the entire country. So it's not a reflection of a negotiation or something with an individual tenant. Those fees have been set, and there's still a huge cost benefit to the government of moving people out of an aged care facility or out of a hospital for that matter into one of these properties. So what we're looking at here is there's four major categories within disability. You've got the improved livability, fully accessible, robust and high physical support. So high physical support is that really significant physical impairment, and a lot of these participants do need their care 24/7. Robust is to do with those that have probably not so much the physical disability space, but mainly to do with a mental disability there, and require specialised care in that regard. Fully accessible, if you just think about wheelchair accessible, homes, pretty straightforward. Improved livability is more for those people that have sort of the intellectual sort of impairments. So really, when we're looking at building these homes, there's quite a lot that goes into the design element of this. You do need to be a qualified NDIS builder. Not just anybody can manage these properties. You need to be an NDIS provider in that space as well, and that's just to do with the ongoing requirements of that particular property. So you can read through those main points there, but really what's most important to understand is that not everything about the NDIS and the SDA is all wonderful as it may seem. There's a lot of challenges there, and probably the three big ones would be the amount of time that goes into building these properties, the amount of additional materials, the construction is quite complicated compared to a standard investment property. So that does have a bit of an effect when it gets to the valuation side. So a standard 4-bedroom home versus a 4-bedroom NDIS home would be significantly different. Price would be higher on the NDIS side of things. However, banks don't always have the properties valued that way. So we do often see valuation shortfalls in this space. And a lot of that is to do with the fact that it does take a lot longer to build this style home than it does a normal home. So just be mindful of that. That construction time frame is a lot longer, so you do need to fund that construction during that process as well. So you need to have some fairly deep pockets for this type of investment. The property then also does take a little bit of time after the completion to become fully certified and safe for inhabitants to move into the property. So a lot of things there just to be very, very mindful of. And when we're talking about the actual property location from an investment point of view, we would typically be talking about population centres, infrastructure, investment, employment growth. Those metrics, go right out the window when we're talking about disability. We're not looking for speculative capital growth. We're looking for where are the tenants, where are we getting the demand, how do we know that we'll receive that income? The only way we can get that income is by making sure we have tenants move into the property. So just bear in mind, again, the standard sort of tenant in this space is not very wealthy. They do tend to be on the lower end of the socio-economic sort of spectrum there. A lot of the major issues around disability would stem from, being in locations where people may not necessarily want to build because they are thinking of the more premium sort of suburbs as where they'll get the capital growth. This is completely different. The guesswork has been completely removed. The SDA tell us exactly where the demand is and the type of tenants that are looking for housing in that area, which is fantastic for us. We also know with certainty what the rental income will be. So a lot of people might be buying standard investment properties, say a $630,000 non-NDIS property, bringing in about that $550 a week rental return over the course of 52 weeks, and then multiply that by 10 years gives you $286,000 rental. Whereas when we're looking at an NDIS property, we're looking at a significantly different sort of calculation here. We've got $1,717.25 per week. Multiply that by 52 weeks is $89,297. Over the course of that 10-year period is $892,000. So there's a big difference in terms of the rental that you receive on an NDIS property versus a standard sort of residential investment property. And so sort of the investment strategy that surrounds this type of property, again, it's not for everyone, but it's very specialised. There's a lot of hurdles to overcome to get to the point of actually purchasing an NDIS property. But once you're in that investment and it's generating those returns, it's fantastic. Now, it's not guaranteed that you build a house and you'll definitely get a tenant, so that's why it's important to pick the property in the right location and build for the right level of disability as well. But once you've got the tenant in place, you are guaranteed to get the payment through from the government. So government-backed income, it's a 20-year certification period as well, so you've got some fantastic returns over the long term as well with this property. And that also does lead to some issues there around tax, obviously. Now, you're adding an extra $90,000 plus per annum to your taxable income. There's obviously some implications there as well. So we would suggest talking to a financial advisor, an accountant, a good mortgage broker, really to get all of your ducks in a row before we go looking at an actual property. But you can see there on the projections, the cash flow scenario there, even without complicated family trusts or structures there, the after-tax cash flow does increase by about $35,000 a year. That's after all of the expenses, interest rates, all of the ongoing maintenance fees, property management fees, and the additional tax you're paying. To clear $35,000 in your pocket net is a phenomenal return, considering that the property we're looking at on the previous slide was not even $35,000 a year gross before all of those expenses. So really what we're looking at here is the steps and stages to get you into the position where you can actually look at one of these potential properties would be looking at, obviously, getting the advice from the right professional advisors, getting the structure correct, making sure you understand the process. You'll see on the bottom left-hand side of all of our slides and presentations the Educate, Invest, Success motto. It's incredibly important in this particular space to get as much information and become as educated in this space as you possibly can so you can make an informed decision. But as soon as you see something on this presentation, it says you've got roughly 2 to 3 days to sort of make a decision. Unfortunately, there's less stock available now than what there was 6 months ago, and you probably have even less time to really review and think about the opportunity. So if you see something you like, you do need to sort of move very, very quickly on that, and contracts will be issued. Once you've signed those contracts, You've got cooling off periods, you've got finance clauses, but obviously depending on where you're purchasing and what you're purchasing, different rules will apply. We'd love to hear from you. If you've got any questions, you can drop us an email at info@truewealthproperty.com.au. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe for future videos, visit the website, and give us a call if you want to, the 1300 number. And we'd love to help you with your investment journey and hopefully get you into what we consider the sort of best investment in the residential space that we've ever seen in an ethical and socially responsible investment structure. So if you do have questions, we'd love to hear from you. Take care.